Transitionals in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And welcome back, indie fans, to Indiethon Summer 23. We are sponsored by Team 17, who recently released Tripang 2, a gory, action-packed FPS set in the distant future. Dodge bullets, sneak in the shadows, punch, kick and slide while unleashing your deadly gun skills on the bad guys who took everything from you. Out now on Steam and GOG and coming soon to Xbox and PlayStation. But we don't care about that right now. What we care about is Sonority and AJChimaera. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Yes, this is much more a cozy game. First puzzle something, maybe. Time will start after I hit new game and confirm the prompt, and then I'll get into it. There'll be a bit of time for me to talk about the game as we get going, so I'll just jump straight into it. Previous progress will be lost, that's fine. This game doesn't have multiple saves, unfortunately, but that's okay. I've 100%ed it before. So we go time in 3, 2, 1. Straight into a loading screen. And it looks like it goes back to the menu, but that's just its placeholder loading when it gets a little bit confused. And we skip the opening cutscene and we're immediately underway. So the gimmick in this game is that you activate these musical pedestals in order to make the world move around you, which is very fun. And those notes were locked in. We're about to get the ability to move things ourselves. So we play a little game of tag with our first instrument here. It finally catches up to us. I like to see how long I can pull it along for. And you can see we immediately just use the number keys. We get a little bit of hum, hum, hum. The map actually gives you a bit of a clue there. On the rocks off to the side, it has arrows going 2, 1. You can skip half the cutscene here. It's constantly a battle between the game wanting you to go slow and us wanting to go fast. So story is happening quite quickly, but we're not. If you double tap, and my control key has been double tapping, then it immediately resets it. Yeah, the story's been happening quite fast around us and we've been ignoring it. But that's okay. Basically, you're here investigating because you have a friend who's a bear who can talk. And he's unwell, so you're trying to find a cure. Just go with it. What matters is it's very charming. So here we go to 1. So the order of operations matters in terms of the note progression. That's the gimmick. So that one, it hit the 1 first and then the 2, so it went up. This one, the 2 first and then the 1, so it went down. This one here, it's too tall, so we have to wait. We can't skip this. You may note I have the audio in German. There was a suggestion that it was faster, but I believe the text speed might actually be the determining factor, because the world record is a couple of minutes quicker than my attempt, but they were using the Italian text. I think that might have been. I haven't done full-scale investigations because there's quite a few languages to go through. But you only get the option of English and German for the actual audio. And it sounds really nice in German. It's a German-made game, initially. And there's some song elements later that it sounds quite nice in its native tongue. 9. I love that we skip the cutscene. He just says no and runs away. So once again, it's our first multi-stage puzzle. So we drop that one and then make that one go up. And then this one is 1, 3. I'm going to be looking off to the side a lot because I have a whole list of notes that gives me the puzzle solutions rather than figure it out on the fly. You can use the musical notations instead, so like C, D, E, F, etc. I prefer to use the numbers, and then I have my notes with the numbers that I actually press on the numpad instead, which will start becoming different to what gets shown on screen at a certain point. I'll explain when we get there. Basically, different instruments have different keys. Our pipes to start with are the most simple. The number you press is the number you get. Here we have a fun little door element. It's an interesting element in that it appears twice in the game at this very point, and then we don't see it again. Slightly underutilized, but amusing. So we're traveling through the world map. It's a nicely developed little world. I would highly encourage, when people play this for the first time, to take their time to explore everything. There are a few collectibles on the map and stuff as well. Obviously we're just trying to get through fast. And skip all the cutscenes.
Hey, warte! Wo willst du denn so schnell hin?
And we've got 3, 2, 4, 1. Much more complex puzzle here. So we've got to drop that, turn that, and drop this. And now we get an example of a two-stage puzzle that we have to do. So we've got... but I've lost my notes. We're up to, here we go. 1, 3. I shouldn't need to look at my notes for this. It's quite simple, but never mind. 4. And then make that 2. So the point being that we have to ride this up to set the top one in order to be able to set the second element. So they become increasingly complex. The next stage we're actually going to hit some of the most complicated. And then there's one particular section that there's about 3 different phases to different puzzles. So it becomes a bit of a brain teaser. Now we have a different door element where we need to wake this guy up. And he's a bit hard to wake up sometimes. Sometimes just spamming 3 or 4 works fine. Other times you've got to hit it a few times. Down here we're going to do a little bit of a skip. So we've got this header up here. You're meant to drop the block in order to access it. You can actually just play a tune from down to the corner there. And we can skip half the puzzle. Nice. Why do more work that we don't have to? There's some storyline murals that decorate. You can go and interact and have a bit of a story. We're not doing those. The camera gets dominated by the game a lot. Also, you have to be very careful sometimes of where you stand to activate these. There's quite a few segments where the skill in the run is trying to move while the camera is fighting you. Trying to get some invisible movement. There's a good time save. You can run away as soon as you activate the heads there. You don't need to wait for them to do anything. You don't even see what it does in particular.
So viele Steinköpfe.
There's one over by the mural there that
Die
doesn't
auch
appear to
alle
do
so
anything.
heißen?
Running into a wall. The geometry can be a little bit challenging sometimes. Sometimes you can cut corners, other times you really shouldn't try. There are a few places that I'll intentionally be taking it a bit slower simply because we don't want to mess up and get stuck. So it's a 2-phase puzzle there, so we had to make each half operate independently. And then a very tricky one is coming up right here. So this looks like an absolute mess. There are the little lines you can see on the floor that denote the directions that it'll take, and they kind of cross paths. 3, 4. There we go. So we set one going, set the other going. So while there's 2 tracks that occupy the same notes, they are at least doing separate things. We do come across some later where they interact together. Wake him up, and on our way. Down the hill. Now through here, there's actually a little bit of terrain there that we can jump down, and here we can actually jump down onto this wall and skip that puzzle entirely. Oh, I do need to wake the head up though. Seems any note works with those. Originally I thought that you had to match the note that they hum.
Immer noch
But just
keine
any
Spur
note
von
that you
diesem
spam
Schrein.
seems to work.
Wenn ich wohl endlich da ankomme?
So this is one of the complicated ones, and I'm getting stuck in the geometry. So we do want to get all the way over here. And set up this. 3, 2, 5, 4-4 just because we don't want anything to happen at all with this one here. And then all the others raise or lower and then twist. Basically the ring that connects the circle causes it to twist, and the square causes it to go up or down. We wake up the big head. And run around. Once again, the camera gets dominated. We try and navigate. I never generally get very far with navigating off screen. But theoretically we can run away quite a far. And ideally skip a secondary cutscene. And there's our fifth note. Yeah, we didn't get very far. Ideally you want to come all the way down here, and I do have some notes that gives me movement that I should be doing. Doesn't always work out. But we did skip the second cutscene. There's another one where it swings you over to look at the other heads. This one we can't skip. A wolf is watching. And now, magically, it is nighttime. We were told to reach the shrine before night in a cutscene that we skipped earlier. Apparently we just made it. Don't know what it was doing there. Sometimes the game does get a little bit confused. And we enter a cutscene and immediately skip it. This one we can actually see where we're walking, which is quite handy. I do like that it has the sort of halo system to be able to see where you are. You go to sleep and skip. And we've got a little bit of running to do here, and I'll just be doing a few little puzzles. So if you've got any messages, then now would be a good time.
Yes, hello there. So, don't have any donations to read out right now, but I do have a fact from the charity. In England, in 2021, there was 5,219 suicides, which was 307 more than 2020. The Samaritans want to lower this figure by providing confidential outlet for people to discuss and get help and advice for whatever they are facing. You are not alone, and they are just a call away on 116123. But if you're not in the UK or Ireland, please use !find help in the chat for a link to a list of charities who provide similar help. Together we can break the stigma of mental health and suicide.
Excellent. Yep, be good to get some donations in on that. It's a really useful thing. We have something similar over here. I'm based over in New Zealand. We have a similar sort of helpline, which, yeah, very valuable service. So we're just winding our way up the old fort here, doing a few of these puzzles where half of them are actually done for us, which is interesting. And we keep getting our camera locked when this thing happens with the big bell that's going off. But thankfully we just move on through it. We can see what we're doing, thankfully. Now we get a new gimmick being shown. We've just managed to make that cycle. We're putting one note in, copies it to the other one. So it just makes it more easier in that respect, but more difficult in other puzzles. Where it affects your ability to do certain things. Now I can kind of see... I wasn't quite close enough. That one you can kind of get close enough in the cutscene to be able to see it going. Here there's a little bit of a bait with the collectible. We don't want to go down there, because then we just have to backtrack. Game taunts us regularly. And down we come here. I'm constantly losing my place in my notes, I'm afraid, so you'll just have to bear with me. But we do have plenty of time on the estimate, at least. Here we go, 2, 3. I really need like an automatic checklist that would just cross things out. I got baited by the stairs there. You don't go up the stairs there, you go up the stairs here. No matter how many times I have done this, I always initially start going towards the stairs. It's just big stairs good, right? Classic bait. now you get a second instrument. Automatically switches, and now you'll notice that the notes have changed because it has a different key that it starts on. So it does allow us to do higher notes. But it does then make my notes more complicated because I'm pressing 1, but it actually shows up as 2. Here, we're lucky that the game doesn't actually checkpoint us at the bottom of all of this here, so we can actually quit out and go back from the menu. Basically resume from checkpoint. And it hasn't checkpointed us since this point here, it seems. So I came across that the other day when I was just trying to find ways of skipping progress. That's pretty much the only time you can do it. Everywhere else I tried, the game was too smart for me. And it already locked me into the place I was trying to skip from. It's now using our new instruments. We can interact with these slightly different pedestals. And we're making our way up into the water temple. Because every game needs to have a water temple. Thankfully we don't have to swim. It is a very nice ambience. This is one of my favourite parts of the game. Suddenly it's nighttime again. I'm not quite sure why, but the lights do look beautiful. There's a little bit of snow in the air. I don't know how far we walked off screen, but clearly it was a long way. You can go either path here. I choose to come to the right first. The puzzles are a little bit simpler. Being lost already. There we go. 1, 3, 4, 5. So now we have a quite complicated puzzle. Makes a very nice sort of note progression. But it does get complicated. So here we need to go 1, 3, 4, 2. Set that going. But now we need to swap back to our pipes again as we come over this bridge and put that in there. So we needed to set that going in order to raise the path to get over there in order to lock in that one note. And now we have to go all the way back again. I haven't found a good way to skip this, unfortunately. To set it off again. And now the full door will be lowered. There we go. And we swap back to our other one. The camera now gets dominated because it wants to show us the full progression in 2 parts, which is very nice. Oh, and we didn't get this. I was trying to do this while my camera was held hostage, but unfortunately didn't get it off. There we go. And that raises the stairs in the tower here. Oh, and I didn't raise it high enough. One moment. I pressed 2 instead of 1, it seems. There we go. So from that we've got to go from the note 2 to the note 6 in order to go up 4 stages. And here we go. And those 2 are already locked in for some reason. I'm not sure why. Here we've just got some very simple puzzles that we can do in a variety of ways. Just anything that makes it go up 1. And now we get a very complicated puzzle that does my head in every single time I try and do it. So, 2, 1, I think. And then 2, 1. We've then got to raise that up. We've then got to stand on this as it raises me up. There we go. And then we set this one to that, this one to that. And now we need to reset this in order to set this to this. Because we no longer want that end one to go up. Because we want the one with the 6 on it to go up. And then we stand on this. I think that puzzle took me about 15 minutes the first time I played this game. The first time I played through this, it took me about 3 or so hours. It's not a small game, but nor is it huge. But it is very fun. and then a little bit longer to get all of the collectibles. So we've got to spin that bridge around here. Once again, I'm losing my place again. Here we go. 3, 2, 4. I also only just updated my notes at this point here to make things easier to press. That does mean to say I'm going to get a little bit confused between muscle memory and what my notes are telling me to do. Always the way. So now we can run across here. This is quite a complicated puzzle here. Reset that back to 2. This is part of the efficiencies that I was trying to do, in that I was just trying to make it that I only needed to press a single button rather than resetting 2 of them. And now we need to switch back to our pipes, or after the cutscene. Unfortunately, your character seems to get kind of frozen at that point, so you can spam movement, but it won't actually go up the stairs, unfortunately. We've got a little collectible there. I think that's 3 that we want there. Got to move that out to connect the track. I don't know if I was in the right place. No, I wasn't quite in the right place to enable that. There we go. And now we swap back off our pipes again and go 3, 5, 4. And go 1. Another puzzle that took me quite a long time to do casually, even though it's relatively simple, but it's very deceiving with what it needs you to do. And here we get the piece de resistance of the level, where we have 3 different tracks all doing different things. So we've got 2, 3, and then working from the back, go 5, 3, 2, 4, 1, 1. First we set this going in order to move those into place. Now to move those, and finally to move these bridges. So they all have to be set just right, because you can't reset any of them in order to move on to the next stage, because it resets the puzzle when you change the note. So they have to all be just configured.
Herren des Wassers. Leider nur eine Statue.
Talk to the statue. And now we've got a little bit of navigation on the way out of here. Trying to move off camera. Good time for any more messages. Ah, running into the wall. Once again, trying to move off the camera, but unless you manage to make it through the doorway, you just run into a wall. And we get some more cutscenes here. You can move all you like, but then you get teleported to the entrance anyway. So we'll go the wrong way. And we're back. And again, the camera gets stolen away from us and we try and move through it. There we go. This is another point where I tried to revert to checkpoint in order to reset back to the top of the shrine. Unfortunately, it's updated now to this point, so we can't do that. We have to go across the other side. So we're at the water temple. Now we're going over to the wind temple, where there's thankfully a single puzzle for us to do.
Hallo? Herr Lumbo? Sind Sie da?
Der magical raccoon friend
Wo
has
er
gone missing.
hingegangen sein könnte?
Some stairs, and then we need to hit the lift up here. Oops, get the right one. So the point is we needed that 6th note in order to elevate this lift up high enough for us to reach this statue here that we are talking to. In trying to do some off-camera movement to try and get back to the lift. Theoretically, like if you were to test this in some way, you'd be able to have the controls done at just the right length of time to get you all the way back to the lift in order to send it back down again. Instead, we often end up tucked behind that wall. So now we have these little icons appearing, which are giving us some sort of exposition. We're just ignoring them and trying to fight the camera. The game is doing its best to tell us, no, you should look at these. But we have done so a long time ago. It's almost like cinematic camera in a racing game. We're trying to run as far across the bridge as we can. Always get stuck on the parapet. Slide down that rock there seems to go a little bit faster. And then we find ourselves going through a tunnel back to a familiar place. Back at the second zone of the game. We can now unlock the passageway. So once you complete the game, you can come back and explore further and get more of the collectibles, rather than starting from scratch again. Some things are a bit broken here. Something has happened. And you may remember from the start, there was a big gate off to the side. We now have the right note combinations to be able to open it. One, 3, 5, 7. And open sesame. All together now, the Stonehead Quartet. So now we're on to the Temple of Rocks, where we get more puzzles thrown at us with a different twist. First, a new instrument. And now here, we can pull these along. And that should be a 2. That should be a 1. And we've got to run to get onto the platform fast enough to carry us up. This we want to pull over here, this we want to pull here, and then we want to do 5, 4, 5, I think it was. So that drops this one down, and then we need to run fast, and we just make it in time to get to that. Then we can go 1, 3, 3, 5. Drop this down. You'll notice there's a little break on the bottom there. That also becomes a point where the note sequence will hit a break point. So here it becomes especially relevant. You notice there's a break point just after this corner, so all of these 3 need to be pulled all the way back here. And now we go 5, 3, 1. That's important because if we weren't using the break point, the gate would shut again. It would open and then immediately pop back up. And we can skip this. Turns out our raccoon friend was Gandalf the whole time, and he's telling us that you shall not pass. It's very vehement about it. Thankfully, we don't really have any intention of doing what he tells us. We move these around. Double check my notes again. 5, 7. Yep, that looks correct. we get ominous music alongside this one now. So he's trying to prevent us from passing by moving the red blocks. This needs to come back here. This needs to be 5. No, 3. And 2, and then 1. And we've got to not get knocked off. It's basically playing Wipeout at this point. Musical Wipeout. Now here is an interesting point. So the stairs I took to the right, you didn't used to be able to take. There were red blocks there that he would elevate to prevent you from proceeding. You had to do a whole big puzzle off to the left instead. But now, at some point, the game updated, and you'll see there's a chest over on the left-hand side there. That's all there is to that path now. To progress in the game, you can just take those stairs. I think maybe they found that it was too difficult for progression. It was certainly a very difficult thing. It's about a minute that you save by not having to do that anymore. Just quite nice. It's rare for a game update to actually make it so you go faster. 7, 5, 3, 1. We impatiently wait to be able to get through that puzzle. And we're back at the shrine again. You find that the shrine is quite a nexus. It's quite a hub. And we're going to the one place that we have not yet been. And that is the tower. We're going to have another big long cutscene. So if there's any messages, now is a very good time.
There is no messages, but I would like to talk about an upcoming incentive that we have, which is to visit Nessie in Desperados Free. And that is to visit a low-res swamp monster in the Queen's Nest that is currently at $0 with a goal of $75. And we also have cheap cent bonus run for Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, which is at $5 with a goal of $100. And a bit later on, we have a horror block with Choo Choo Charles with a 100% upgrade, and a glitch showcase from Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach. All very interesting upgrades that your donations can go towards. And you will also be entered into our prize draws for donations of $1. You will get entered into a draw to win a handwritten card from my very self with typos and spelling mistakes galore. $5 will get you into not just the card, but also into the draw for a displate. $15 will get you into 3 of the Team 17 packs, as well as the displate and the card draw. And $30 over the course of the marathon will enter you into all of them and the grand prize pack.
Nice. Some great incentives there. So now these notes are all preset, but the gimmick is we have to rearrange them in order to form the correct progression to control the elements that are off to the side. So we needed to have... I immediately jumped into it and forgot to check my notes to make sure that I'm doing it correctly. So 410.8 is correct, and it'll be 286. No, we need to pull this back here. We just moved things around but didn't actually swap the order. Don't mind me. Got to pull this all the way back. There we go. Yeah, so we didn't quite pull it far enough. Because 2 needs to come first. And then we'll have the 6 there. So that needs to go. Excuse me. Sometimes it doesn't want to let me pull it. Then the 8 needs to be in the middle. It would be much nicer if it would just let me change the notes with my instrument. But unfortunately, it's decided that I'm not allowed to do that anymore. So set that one going. Set that one going. See all those platforms up there. Go spin, spin, spin. And we head back to the lift. The lift is very annoying because what happens is as soon as we change anything, it resets all the way to the bottom before we can then send it all the way back up again. We have to wait for it to do the full rotation. There we are. We try and minimize our use of it as much as we can. But we'll need to use it one more time to just go a couple of clicks to the left. And we have to wait the whole time as it does it. So this here, we need to get the 7, or I was supposed to push the 3 first so we've got space for it. Bring the 7 all the way across. The 11 then comes down here. The 6 has to move across to the other track. It has to go 6, 11, 10, so that's now done. And then 7 and 3 need to swap, because it needs to go 3, 7, and 9. And there we have it. And we can now open the 2-step lock. And we run away before we see it finish. And try and get as far as we can. Theoretically fall off down there and go to the bottom, but it is faster, despite how annoying the lift is. That needs to be 1. It is faster to remain on it and reset it rather than go all the way down, because then you'd still have to call it to come down anyway. But now we do get the opportunity to skip the lift at a later stage. It's conveniently there is a little shortcut. We also get stuck on geometry apparently, because stairs are even. So there's a lift here that we can, if we're quick, send it down without taking it, and that means it's now on the ground floor for us to come back up again with it. And it skips having to use the central lift. Have the whole rotation. It's about 10-second time save. And once again, we're going to end up with another unskippable cutscene. We also have these weird organ pipe things that I'm not sure what they do. They're not a collectible. They don't appear to do anything in the game, but they really want you to notice them. So here we admire the stained glass window, and plot happens. Unfortunately, this is one case where if you go back to menu and then come back in, the checkpoint is just before the cutscene starts as opposed to after it, so you do have to sit through it. Obviously casually, if you were game crashed, had to leave, you would want to watch the cutscene again to make sure that you did see the full story. But you also can't skip the dialogue. But we'll be straight back into the action as soon as this one finishes.
Lumbo tut es sehr leid. Macht sich solche Vorwürfe und will nur helfen.
Basically, the humans did something bad. The animals don't trust them too well. That's why the raccoon Lumbo is trying to stop you. The wolf Naira, she doesn't trust you at all. Rather than giving you a chance to prove yourself, she prefers to imprison you. Not quite sure I appreciate her line of thinking, but we'll prove her wrong. But our instruments have been confiscated. So we're going to have to find a different method. First we'll sleep on it.
Ohne meine Instrumente.
So we have a rest, we skip the cutscene, and we go downstairs. A mysterious stairway has opened up for us. And we find the caverns beneath the tower. And we learn how to sing.
Fern doch nah, niemals wahrhaft fort.
So all we have to do is interact with these. He says missing an input.
Still ist dieser Ort.
And we get a cutscene that we can skip. And now we have our voice instrument. Turns out the power of music was inside us all along. Unfortunately, it doesn't allow you to use all of the other things from previous areas, but it allows us to get out of the tower. So, we now go.
So, ich glaube, es ist etwas Wunderbares passiert. Ich denke, ich kann uns hier rausbringen.
1, 3. Drop that one down. And jailbreak. Thankfully, there's no security system. 2, 1. Basically, it's our security override. This is fun. Build progress, build progress, build progress, build progress. We're not going to read all of them. I'm not sure if that's intentional in the story for some reason. The people building this place were steadily going mad, I believe. Or whether it's just some sort of developer Easter egg or mistake, but I enjoy it. So here we can just reset the lift, and it takes a nice quick path to get up. Rather than taking the long, slow turn all the way up, we can reset this lift back to the starting position and walk away. And we have now got a wolf to try and convince to our way of thinking again. Not the easiest task. But as they say, we may have a little help from our friends. We come, thankfully, because we triggered that organ pipe thing before, it doesn't do it again. We now get to traverse these stairs. Now here you've got to be a little bit careful. If you're on some tiles to the left, you will find yourself in a bit of a tricky spot. But now we have another storyline cutscene. This one isn't as long. Turns out Lumbo's really good at climbing. His thing around his neck also must be a climbing rig.
Du stummer Narr. Aus dem Weg.
And he uses his flute to help us. I accidentally, in a practice run, managed to be on the patch of floor that drops and ended up down in the depths of the castle. It reset me after about 10 seconds, but that was still not something I expected to see. Now we have a complicated thing here. Once again, we could theoretically be interacting with things while our camera is held captive, but we can't see where we've got to. So, 1, 2, 4, 6, 7, 5. Hopefully that's correct. Yep. And then where's my place? 6. Okay. Ah, I forgot to set the other one going. While I was up the top end, I was meant to set this one. So all of the colors connect, and the gate opens. Now there is a collectible over on the far side. Important to note, if you're playing this game casually and wanted to collect that, you need to get that before finishing this bit here, otherwise it becomes very difficult. 8. And here we've got another little timer to get on the platform before it goes up. And last but not least, this is not time, unfortunately. There is still interaction to do with the game after this point. This is the end of the story element, though. Turns out there was this big tuning fork thing making all that noise the whole time. I think it was preventing the wolf from sleeping, which might explain why she was a bit cranky. I can understand. And now, the game can't quite decide where to put us. And suddenly we're back here. I think possibly because I was trying to do inputs at the same time. I've been experimenting with different things that might free me, but it always seems to warp me back. Because there's an invisible wall here that prevents me from escaping. But it also just then warps me back to the starting area soon anyway. Once again, skipping to menu and such doesn't help.
Du meinst? Ja. Dann sollte ich keine Zeit verlieren.
But we've unlocked the power of song. and we now know what to do to help our friend, who remains off screen. And we have one last thing to do, and that is to run off, and time will be coming up shortly. Just have to run back the way we came, and time. When the screen goes black, that's time, no longer anything to interact with. We now just have another unskippable cutscene just to finish off. And that is Sonority. That's the base of it. There is also the ability to collect all of the little symbols that you saw dotted around. There's a few of those big music chests that you can open as well. There's a fair amount to explore in the game. Other than that, that was Indiethon, and that was me. All that's remaining is the credits. Thanks for having me.
GG.
Mach's gut, Naira.
That was a
Pass ja auf unseren
42-19,
alten
just so you
Jumbo
know.
auf. Sonst kommt er nur wieder auf
Really?
ihre Gedanken.
Okay.
Oh, actually, no, I started late.
Auf
Okay.
I forgot to hit the timer. Sorry.
I was going to say, that would be world record
My
if
bad.
that was true. That didn't feel right.
Yeah.
I wish.
Yeah, that's what happens when you're doing 14 things at once.
No, that's fine. You're doing a great
Do you
job.
have any shout-outs you want to give?
Not hugely. It's a very small community. There are 2 runs on the leaderboards, myself and the world record. I'd love to see that increase. I'm going to quit back to the menu just in case that music has any copyright attached to it. It shouldn't do. It's part of the game, but just in case. Basically, I started playing this game soon after it came out. After finishing it, I ran it back as a speedrun and then submitted to create the leaderboards for it and hoped that other people might come across it. I'm hoping that this will be a good way for other people to discover the game and give it a go. It's really charming. I have some notes on speedrun.com in the guides section that has all of my notations. I'm going to update it after this with the revised ones that I've got now. They'll probably look like absolute hieroglyphics to most people. It's just lots of numbers. It'll look like someone's math homework, but hopefully it'll help. But otherwise, you can just follow along the runs. It's very much a case of do what you see and enjoy the game.
Well, like I say, thank you very much for the amazing run again. We are going to actually be going into our first setup block now. So you can feel free to chill with the amazing indie tunes. And we will be back with Socum Navy SEALs at around, let's just do some quick maths, in around an hour. So, like I said, go get a drink, hydrate, toilet break, and then chill with some indie classics. But again, this event is raising money for the Samaritans, and not only can you contact them through their helpline, you can also contact them by email, send them a physical letter and they will write one back, use their online chat feature, or get advice through their self-help app at any time of day or night. With that said, this is